My shoes. I didn't orange it. It's not just my shoes. Let's see if it's
Daily life in medieval England was a harsh and gritty affair for most people. The majority of the population lived in small villages, working as peasants tied to the land. From sunrise to sunset, their days were spent toiling in the fields, planting, harvesting, and tending to animals. Homes were simple and crowded, tiny wooden cottages with thatched roofs and dirt floors, often shared with livestock for warmth. The streets of villages and towns were muddy and filled with refuse. Pigs, chickens, and stray dogs roamed freely, rooting through the midden heaps where villagers discarded food scraps and waste. Carthage, a jewel of the ancient Mediterranean, rose to power around the 9th century BC as a Phoenician colony in modern-day Tunisia. Strategically located on the North African coast, Carthage thrived as a maritime superpower, dominating trade routes and building a vast network of allies and colonies across the Mediterranean. At its height, Carthage was renowned for its advanced harbors, vibrant markets, and formidable navy, symbolized by its legendary circular port, the Kothon. It was a city of wealth and innovation, where merchants traded gold, ivory, and rare dyes, and where engineers and craftsmen built monumental structures like the Bursa Hill and its grand temple to Eshmun. But Carthage is best remembered for its fierce rivalry with Rome. Over the course of 3 Punic Wars, Carthage and Rome clashed in battles that would define the ancient world. Heroes like Hannibal emerged, crossing the Alps with war elephants to challenge Rome itself. Yet despite their brilliance, the Carthaginians were ultimately defeated. In 146 BC, after a bitter siege, Rome destroyed Carthage, reducing it to ruins. Yet its legacy lives on as a symbol of resilience, innovation, and the indomitable spirit of an ancient people who once ruled the waves. Welcome to ancient Greece, a land of towering marble temples, bustling marketplaces, and timeless philosophy. Around 2,400 years ago, Greece stood as a beacon of culture and innovation in the Mediterranean world. In the heart of Athens, the Agora bustled with life, a vibrant center where merchants sold olives, pottery, and textiles, while philosophers like Socrates debated ideas under shaded porticos. Overlooking the city was the Acropolis, crowned by the majestic Parthenon, a symbol of the city's devotion to Athena. Beyond Athens, the Spartans were honing their military prowess. In the rugged lands of Sparta, boys trained from a young age to become warriors, their discipline and strength earning them a fearsome reputation across the ancient world. Festivals filled Greek life with joy and ritual. In Olympia, athletes competed in the sacred games, their feats of strength and skill celebrated by cheering crowds. At Delphi, pilgrims sought guidance from the oracle of Apollo, her cryptic prophecies shaping the destinies of cities and kings. This was a time of innovation, beauty, and resilience, a civilization whose legacy still echoes through art, science, and philosophy today. Ancient Greece, 400 BC, remains a shining chapter in the story of human history. The Indus Valley civilization, flourishing over 4,000 years ago, was one of the earliest and most advanced urban societies in history. Spanning a vast region that includes modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, its major cities, Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and Lothal, demonstrated remarkable sophistication. These cities were marvels of urban planning, with wide, straight streets laid out in grid patterns, advanced drainage systems, and multi-story brick homes. At the heart of Mohenjo-Daro stood the Great Bath, a massive public water tank possibly used for ritual purification, symbolizing the importance of community and spirituality. The Indus people were skilled artisans and traders, crafting intricate beads, pottery, and jewelry from materials like carnelian and lapis lazuli. Their trade networks extended as far as Mesopotamia, facilitated by boats navigating rivers and goods transported by ox-drawn carts. Seals adorned with mysterious symbols and animal motifs served as markers of commerce and identity. hinting at a complex society. Despite their achievements, much about this civilization remains a mystery. The Indus script, carved into stone seals and tablets, has yet to be deciphered, keeping many of their stories locked in time. Jerusalem, one of the oldest and most significant cities in human history, has been a focal point of religion, politics, and culture for millennia. Around 30 AD, during the time of Roman rule, Jerusalem was a thriving yet tumultuous city. It served as the spiritual and political heart of the Jewish people and the location of the Grand Second Temple, a marvel of ancient architecture and a center of worship. The city was a bustling hub of trade and pilgrimage, with merchants selling goods in the crowded streets and pilgrims traveling from across the region to offer sacrifices at the temple. The Temple Mount dominated the skyline, its courtyards filled with priests, worshippers and scholars debating religious law. Roman influence was ever present, with soldiers patrolling the streets and enforcing order. Herod the Great, a Roman client king, had rebuilt the Second Temple decades earlier, adding grandeur to Jerusalem, but also intensifying tensions between Roman authorities and the local population. This was also a time of spiritual transformation. The teachings of Jesus of Nazareth began to spread, drawing followers and challenging traditional authority. His presence in Jerusalem during Passover led to events that would shape history, culminating in his crucifixion on the outskirts of the city at Golgotha. Jerusalem's layers of history, cultural fusion, and religious significance make it a city that continues to capture the imagination of the world. Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire, was one of the most advanced cities of its time, founded in 1325 AD on an island in Lake Texcoco. By the 15th century, it had grown into a thriving metropolis with a population of over 200,000, larger than most European cities of the era. The city's layout was meticulously planned, with canals serving as roads for canoes, connecting neighborhoods, markets, and temples. 3 massive causeways linked the island city to the mainland, each equipped with drawbridges that could be raised in times of war. The chinampas, or floating gardens, were ingenious agricultural innovations that allowed the Aztecs to feed their growing population by cultivating crops on man-made islands. At the center of Tenochtitlan stood the Templo Mayor, a grand double pyramid symbolizing the Aztec cosmos. It was dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, and Tlaloc, the god of rain. The marketplace at Tlatelolco was the economic heart of the city, attracting merchants from across Mesoamerica. Tenochtitlan was not just a city, it was a testament to the ingenuity, power, and spiritual devotion of the Aztec people, standing as one of the most remarkable achievements in human history. The Sengoku period, known as Japan's Warring States era, was a time of chaos, ambition, and transformation. For over a century, powerful warlords called daimyo vied for dominance, their armies clashing across the islands in an unrelenting struggle for power. Castles rose on strategic hilltops, surrounded by fortresses and sprawling towns, as daimyo fortified their lands. Samurai warriors, bound by honor and loyalty, became the architects of these battles, wielding their katana with precision and their strategies with cunning. Ashigaru foot soldiers, armed with yari spears and early matchlock rifles, brought new dynamics to the battlefield, and alliances were forged and broken as quickly as swords clashed. But the Sengoku period wasn't just a time of war, it was a time of innovation. Foreign trade introduced firearms and new ideas, transforming Japan's warfare and culture. Ambitious leaders like Oda Nobunaga, the Demon King, rose to prominence, using ruthless tactics and advanced weaponry to conquer his enemies. Nobunaga's vision laid the foundation for unification, continued by his successor, Toyotomi Hideyoshi. The Sengoku period ended with the decisive Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, paving the way for the Tokugawa shogunate. The Qin dynasty, founded in 221 BC by Emperor Qin Shi Huang, was a defining moment in Chinese history. After centuries of warring states, Qin Shi Huang united China under a single rule, creating the foundation of the empire that would last for millennia. Under his leadership, the Great Wall began to take shape, a colossal defense stretching across mountains and valleys, built by countless laborers under harsh conditions. The emperor also standardized currency, weights, measures, and even the written script, unifying a vast and diverse population. Daily life in the Qin dynasty reflected both innovation and rigor. Farmers toiled in rice paddies and wheat fields, using bronze tools to cultivate the land. In bustling towns, markets thrived with traders bartering silk, pottery, and spices. Artisans worked tirelessly, crafting everything from intricate terracotta figurines to advanced crossbows for the military. At the heart of the dynasty was Qin Shi Huang's obsession with immortality, reflected in the construction of his massive tomb, guarded by the awe-inspiring terracotta army. Though the Qin dynasty was short-lived, lasting just 15 years, its impact was profound, shaping China's identity and setting the stage for the Han dynasty's golden age. Before the arrival of Western settlers, the indigenous peoples of North America thrived in harmony with the land, developing unique and diverse cultures across the continent. From the dense forests of the east to the vast prairies of the Great Plains, daily life was deeply rooted in respect for nature and community. In the eastern woodlands, villages were organized around longhouses where extended families lived together. Crops like corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters, were carefully cultivated in communal fields, while hunters provided deer and small game to sustain the community. On the Great Plains, nomadic tribes followed vast herds of buffalo, a source of food, clothing, and shelter. Teepees, portable and durable, dotted the grasslands, easily moved to match the rhythm of the buffalo's migration. Buffalo hunts were collaborative and essential to survival. In the arid southwest, cliffside pueblos rose from the red rock landscape, housing generations of families. While many tribes lived peacefully, warring between groups was not uncommon. Disputes over land, resources, or long-standing rivalries often led to skirmishes or organized raids. Each region had its own way of life, shaped by the environment, but united by a shared connection to the land. Life in the Neolithic era during the Ice Age was a daily struggle for survival in a harsh, unforgiving world. The land was dominated by icy tundras, vast plains, and towering glaciers that stretched endlessly into the horizon. Early humans, resilient and resourceful, adapted to the cold, using animal furs and hides to craft clothing and shelters that shielded them from freezing winds. Communities were small and tightly knit, with people living in huts made from mammoth bones covered with animal skins. They relied heavily on teamwork to hunt the megafauna of their time, massive creatures like woolly mammoths, giant ground sloths, and saber-toothed cats. Hunting required ingenuity and courage. Groups worked together to set traps, drive animals into ambushes, or encircle them with fire. A successful hunt provided not just food, but bones for tools, hides for warmth, and sinew for binding. Gathering played an equally important role. Women and children foraged for roots, berries, and nuts. Despite the hardships, the Neolithic people began shaping the world around them. They learned to cultivate wild grains in the brief warm seasons and domesticated animals like dogs to help in hunting and guarding their camps. They also created art, painting vivid scenes of their lives on cave walls, leaving behind a glimpse of their ingenuity and spirit. This was an age of resilience and adaptation, where survival meant not only mastering nature, but also working together in the face of the Ice Age's relentless challenges. At its height between 250 and 900 AD, the Mayan civilization thrived in the dense jungles of Mesoamerica. Known for their stunning achievements in architecture, astronomy, and art, the Maya built sprawling cities like Tikal, Palenque, and Copan. life revolved around city-states, each ruled by a powerful king or queen who acted as both a political leader and a divine intermediary. Grand plazas buzzed with activity as merchants bartered cacao beans, jade, and obsidian in vibrant marketplaces. Farmers worked terraced fields, cultivating maize, beans, and squash. Religion was central to Mayan life, intertwining with their understanding of the cosmos. Priests conducted elaborate rituals on temple summits, offering incense, food, and sometimes sacrifices to appease their gods. Sacred ceremonies marked every aspect of life, from the agricultural cycle to celestial events, which the Maya predicted with astonishing accuracy using complex calendars and observatories. Though their civilization declined, their legacy endures in their awe-inspiring cities, intricate art, and profound understanding of the universe. The Minoan civilization, thriving from around 2000 to 1450 BC on the island of Crete, was one of the most advanced and influential cultures of the ancient world. At their height, the Minoans built sprawling palace complexes like Knossos, Phaistos, and Malea. As master seafarers, the Minoans dominated Mediterranean trade routes, connecting Crete to Egypt, the Levant, and the Aegean Islands. Their ships carried goods such as olive oil, wine, and beautifully crafted pottery, while bringing back precious metals, ivory, and exotic artifacts. These trade networks helped spread Minoan culture far beyond their island shores. Minoan society was centered around religion and ritual, with their art and architecture reflecting deep spiritual beliefs. Priestesses played a prominent role in their religious life, often depicted holding snakes in symbolic gestures of power and fertility. However, their civilization was not immune to disaster. Around 1600 BC, the eruption of the volcanic island of Thera likely caused widespread devastation, weakening their dominance and leaving them vulnerable to outside forces. Despite their decline, the Minoans left a lasting legacy. Their art, architecture, and influence on later Greek cultures such as the Mycenaeans cement their place as pioneers of the ancient Mediterranean world. The Assyrian Empire, at its height between the 9th and 7th centuries BC, was one of the most powerful and advanced civilizations of the ancient world. Known for its military might, vast cities, and architectural grandeur, the empire stretched across Mesopotamia, encompassing modern-day Iraq, Syria, and beyond. The Assyrians were masters of conquest, using highly organized armies equipped with iron weapons, chariots, and siege engines. The capital cities of Nineveh and Dur-Sharrukin were centers of power and culture. Colossal palaces with towering Lamassu statues stood as symbols of strength. The Assyrians built massive ziggurats to honor their gods, with priests conducting elaborate ceremonies to seek divine favor. King Ashurbanipal's library in Nineveh was a marvel of the ancient world, housing thousands of clay tablets inscribed with texts on astronomy, medicine, and epic literature, including the famous Epic of Gilgamesh. Despite their achievements, the Assyrian Empire faced constant rebellions and external threats. By 612 BC, their once mighty capital of Nineveh fell to a coalition of enemies, marking the end of their dominance. Yet, the Assyrian legacy endures, shaping the civilizations that followed and leaving behind an enduring story of ambition, innovation, and power. Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire, was one of the most advanced cities of its time, founded in 1325 AD on an island in Lake Texcoco. By the 15th century, it had grown into a thriving metropolis with a population of over 200,000, larger than most European cities of the era. The city's layout was meticulously planned, with canals serving as roads for canoes, connecting neighborhoods, markets, and temples. 3 massive causeways linked the island city to the mainland, each equipped with drawbridges that could be raised in times of war. The chinampas, or floating gardens, were ingenious agricultural innovations that allowed the Aztecs to feed their growing population by cultivating crops on man-made islands. At the center of Tenochtitlan stood the Templo Mayor, a grand double pyramid symbolizing the Aztec cosmos. It was dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, and Tlaloc, the god of rain. The marketplace at Tlatelolco was the economic heart of the city, attracting merchants from across Mesoamerica. Tenochtitlan was not just a city, it was a testament to the ingenuity, power, and spiritual devotion of the Aztec people, standing as one of the most remarkable achievements in human history. Ancient Egypt emerged along the fertile banks of the Nile thousands of years ago, creating one of the most influential civilizations in human history. Their monumental achievements included complex irrigation systems, towering pyramids, and a rich cultural legacy defined by hieroglyphic writing, religious rituals, and an enduring fascination with the afterlife. Over the centuries, Egypt's population became a vibrant blend of different ethnicities, influenced by neighboring regions and vast trade networks. Evidence suggests that some individuals had more Caucasian features, such as the legendary pharaoh Ramses II. Indeed, the land served as a cultural crossroads where people of diverse backgrounds came together, sharing knowledge and customs. As you stroll through the corridors of a grand temple or gaze upon the stone colossi in the heart of Luxor, you can almost hear the echoes of the past. The meticulous art on the walls, depicting the daily lives of the Egyptian people, offers a glimpse into how they farmed, worshipped, and built societies that have fascinated the world for millennia. Ancient Egypt remains a testament to human ingenuity and cultural fusion, an enduring marvel that continues to captivate us today. In ancient Rome, going to the bathroom was surprisingly social. Public latrines, often found near bathhouses, featured long benches with carved-out holes, no partitions, and definitely no privacy. Fresh water flowed beneath the seats, whisking away waste in a marvel of Roman engineering. Because these restrooms were so communal, conversation was common. People might talk politics, gossip, or simply catch up on local news. Instead of toilet paper, They used a sponge on a stick called a tussorium, dipped in water, something that might raise eyebrows today, but was perfectly normal in Rome's heyday. Beyond hygiene, these spaces reflected the Roman emphasis on community, innovation, and practicality. So the next time you hear someone complain about public restrooms, just imagine sharing a seat, literally, with a stranger 2,000 years ago. Before the arrival of Western settlers, the indigenous peoples of North America thrived in harmony with the land, developing unique and diverse cultures across the continent. From the dense forests of the East to the vast prairies of the Great Plains, daily life was deeply rooted in respect for nature and community. In the eastern woodlands, villages were organized around longhouses where extended families lived together. Crops like corn, beans, and squash, the Three Sisters, were carefully cultivated in communal fields, while hunters provided deer and small game to sustain the community. On the Great Plains, nomadic tribes followed vast herds of buffalo, a source of food, clothing, and shelter. Teepees, portable and durable, dotted the grasslands, easily moved to match the rhythm of the buffalo's migration. Buffalo hunts were collaborative and essential to survival. In the arid southwest, cliffside pueblos rose from the red rock landscape, housing generations of families. While many tribes lived peacefully, warring between groups was not uncommon. Disputes over land, resources, or long-standing rivalries often led to skirmishes or organized raids. Each region had its own way of life, shaped by the environment, but united by a shared connection to the land. In the 15th and 16th centuries, Portugal stood at the forefront of the age of exploration, transforming a small coastal kingdom into a global maritime power. From the bustling harbours of Lisbon, caravels and galleons set sail, carrying explorers, traders and missionaries to the farthest corners of the known world. Under the visionary leadership of Prince Henry the Navigator, Portuguese sailors charted new routes along the African coast, seeking gold, spices, and new alliances. Vasco da Gama's historic voyage to India opened the gateway to a lucrative spice trade, while Pedro Alvarez Cabral's arrival in Brazil expanded the empire into the Americas. Back home, Portugal flourished. Lisbon became a hub of wealth and cultural exchange, its markets overflowing with exotic goods, spices from Asia, gold from Africa, and sugar from Brazil. The Grand Jeronimos Monastery stood as a testament to the country's maritime ambitions. Despite the wealth and glory, the empire's rise was not without conflict. Rival European powers and resistance from local populations often challenged Portuguese dominance. Yet, the legacy of this era endures, as Portugal's bold explorers reshaped the map of the world and laid the foundation for a truly global age. In the mid-14th century, a devastating plague ravaged medieval Europe, leaving towns and cities eerily silent in its wake. Known as the Black Death, this horrific outbreak killed millions within a few short years. Some regions lost up to half their population. Fleas infected with the plague bacterium traveled by ship and caravan, spreading disease faster than anyone could react. Panicked rulers closed city gates, and merchants abandoned market stalls, hoping to contain the invisible menace. Daily life ground to a halt as entire households fell ill, and any who could fled to remote villages in search of safety. Makeshift quarantine camps rose around walled towns, while priests and monks offered last rites in overcrowded graveyards. In England, France, Italy and beyond, fields went untended, businesses collapsed, and once thriving ports became ghostly harbours. People desperately turned to folk remedies, herbal concoctions, and the ominous presence of plague doctors who wore long cloaks and bird-like masks stuffed with aromatic herbs. Yet through the hardship, new measures and ideas began to emerge. Towns recognized the need for cleaner living conditions, and the concept of quarantine influenced the future of public health. Although it left widespread suffering in its path, the Black Death forced medieval Europe to rethink how communities could survive and thrive in the face of disaster. The Picts, a fierce and mysterious people, thrived in what's now Scotland from around 300 to 900 AD. Their name, meaning painted ones, comes from Roman tales of their tattooed bodies, though we're still piecing together who they really were. They left no written records, but their carved stones, swirling with knots, beasts and symbols, hint at a rich culture. Daily life for the Picts was rugged. Most lived in scattered villages, stone roundhouses or timber huts, tucked into misty valleys or perched on craggy hills. Traders swapped salt, hides and iron tools in bustling markets, but life wasn't all peaceful. Warriors were the heartbeat of Pictish society. Clad in leather and wielding long spears, they fought off Roman legions, like at the Battle of Mons Graupius in 83 AD, and clashed with rival clans. Kings and chiefs ruled from fortified crags, their power cemented by loyalty and battle scars. Priests, maybe tied to old Celtic gods or early Christianity, led rituals at stone circles, blessing hunts or wars. The Picts faded by the 900s, blending into the Scots, but their legacy lingers in Scotland's wild landscapes and cryptic stones. Babylon, the legendary city of Mesopotamia, rose to prominence over 4,000 years ago along the fertile banks of the Euphrates River in modern-day Iraq. Its name, meaning Gate of the Gods, reflects its significance as a cultural, political, and religious hub of the ancient world. By the 18th century BC, under King Hammurabi, Babylon became the capital of a vast empire. Hammurabi's famous Code of Laws, one of the earliest written legal systems, established Babylon as a beacon of order and governance. But it was centuries later, during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BC, that Babylon reached its golden age. Nebuchadnezzar transformed the city into a marvel of the ancient world. The Ishtar Gate, adorned with vivid blue tiles and golden animal reliefs, welcomed visitors to a metropolis of immense wealth and grandeur. Towering above the city was the ziggurat known as the Etemenanki, believed by some to be the inspiration for the biblical Tower of Babel. And then, of course, there were the fabled Hanging Gardens, a masterpiece of engineering and beauty, said to have been built to please his queen. Despite its splendor, Babylon faced conquest and decline. In 539 BC, it fell to the Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great, marking the end of its independence. Yet, Babylon's legacy endures as a symbol of human ingenuity, law and culture, a city that still inspires awe and wonder thousands of years later.
Den krigshandling heb filmen in probeer distronic forces.
Right.